Welcome to the Precision Stroke tutorial. In the Startup Z Plugs folder, you need these two files for this to work. You need both. You need the custom PSCFG, which is the configuration file, and you need the Precision Stroke ZSC file. You need both of these to work. Let's load up ZBrush, and the plugins will be in the Z plugins here under Precision Stroke. And we'll be pressing the loader button here, which is going to load the configuration, which was the custom PSCFG file. As you can see, it loaded some buttons and sliders down here. If you want to move them around to your likings, you can go to Preference, Customize UI, Enable Customize. Then when you move your buttons and sliders around where you like them, go to Config, Save UI, and overwrite the custom PSCFG. That'll be in the Z Plugs folder. Now these have their own little sections over here. We have the roll over here and the lazy mouse. These are in its own little sections. We have the replay all, replay last, record, and save and load. These have their own little sections. The intensity slider and new. These have their own little sections for adding new 3D layers. We have the rotate option, which actually rotates the alpha. As you can see over here, that rotates it. And we have the Z and Z sub, which is basically these buttons up here. I'll just put them down here for easy access. And I have the little divider button down here. If you click it, it has a new set of buttons over here. It's got the save embed. Now, if this tool is active and with this material, it will save this head and the material. And next time I load it by using the load button, it will load that head and load the material. But if I don't want to save the material but just the head, I'll just press save. And when I do that, I'll automatically collapse the divider. So I'll press it. And that is automatically saved. And when I shut down ZBrush and start it back up, I can just use the load button because it will load the last 3D object that was saved. Now if another plugin gets active, it will remove the buttons in the bottom, and I'll give you a little demonstration what would happen. If I use the default script, which is another plugin, and let's say I selected a demo soldier, tap the H key on the keyboard, as you can see the buttons are gone. All I need to do is come over here and press the loader one more time, this button, tap the H key. Okay, now remember I saved the head last, which was used last, so I saved it. But let's say I wanted to reload it and use it each time. All I need to do is just go over here and press load. It'll automatically collapse itself, and there's our head. Alright, let's get started, and I'll kind of go over a few of these buttons and sliders and kind of give you a little demonstration what they do. We're going to skip the lazy mouse options over here. If you just tinker with them, you can find out yourself. They're pretty easy to understand. This might be a little confusing over here, so let me go over some of the replay last and replay all sliders. And we'll go ahead and scale this up. And we'll just switch over to the stitch tool. Now this slider, if I move it to the right, it's got number values 0 through 5, and it's got the negative value, and which the negative value actually activates the undos, but we don't have no undos, so let me just give you a little demonstration. If I was to stroke it, one here, it gives it one undos. Now I'm going to move the slider to number 5. Okay, it gives it 5 strokes. Now remember I did the first one, so that's 1 stroke. Then the slider was 5 more, so that was 6 strokes. So that gives it 6 undos. If I shoot it to the -5, as you can see, it removed 5 strokes, which was 5 undos. I need to remove 1 more, and I can go like this. Now here's where it could cause you a little problems when you start going along. So let me give you a little demonstration. Let's say I did a stroke here. Now I wanted to make another stroke. Say I wanted to make a stroke here. Okay, I'm going to move the slider. Now remember, this was the last stroke, so this counts as 1. Always 1. So if I move it to 2, that equals 3 strokes. If I move it to -2, it removes everything but the last stroke. Move it -1 more time, then it disappears. So let me recap that again. So I'll do it number 2. And I know if I go 1 past the high value, which was 2, so I'll go -2, plus I'm going to go 1 more over, I know remove it all. Here's what it could cause you problems is after you get it going along is if I was to go like this, and go to 2, and all of a sudden I just said, oh, I'm just going to go -5, it's going to remove this one here. What happened is it removed the top one here because it started going past the undos. You can actually redo it here to get it back. But if this is confusing for you, I got this little save load which will help you solve that problem. So if I was to recap that one more time so we can solve the problem, and I wanted to make another stroke down here and kind of want to make sure this one up here didn't get screwed up again, so I just press save load, and what happened is it removed the undos. So if I was to make another stroke, let's say 2, now I can move my slider all the way back to -5. It's not going to remove the last one up here. And if I keep on going along like this, let's say I did one like this here, just press save load and say, oh, I'm stuck with that because I ain't got no undos now. Well, actually, you can retrieve that if you go back up into a menu up here, and it'll save your last where you left off, so that's pretty handy there. And if you ever just want to kind of basically just start back over, you just tap the H key and we'll just load the original one back up. Alright, in the next section we're going to be going over the replay all. But before I get started, let me show you one last thing. The characters on the canvas and you move them like this, the thing that you would not want to do is to move the slider like this, because it's just going to move the character around, because this is moving the strokes on the canvas. To recap this, how to do this kind of real fast, it makes a little bit more sense. What you do is just save it every time that you want to make a stroke. I can move the slider again. I can move the slider as many times as I want it. And when I will go to the next step, just to make sure you just press save. So basically you just make sure you save it before you go to the next step. So it's just a slider, save, slider, save. Alright, let's load up the tap the H key and load this head back up again. Let's go to the next section. I had paused the video and initialized ZBrush, and we're going to go over the replay all, which is different than replay last. And I'll show you the comparison of the two here. So let's just go ahead and switch the material here, and switch the brush. I'm just giving you the basics. If you're getting a little bored right now, just hold on towards the end. I'll show you some cool stuff towards the end of the video. But anyway, what you need to do is you need to set your character in a position where you're going to start stroking on them. And once you get them in a position, you need to press the record button. So we'll press record here. Once the record button is pressed, do not stroke on the canvas to turn the character. So what I'll do is let's say I'll make one stroke here. And let's say I'll make a stroke down here. I'm letting off with the mouse here. And let's say I'll make one here. And another one here. When I'm done, I'll move the slider here and replace all them strokes. I can move the slider again if I wanted to heap it up a little bit. And when I'm done, I can go ahead and move the character if I want to go the next step. So I'll get them in position here, press the record button, and we'll replay all again. And when you're using this, you can see that the undos gets built up pretty quick. So each time that you make another session, you might want to just go ahead and press save it. So I'll just save this one, that way it kills all my undos, and that way if I wanted to do something else, press record. And when I'm done, I'll just press save and load. Alright, we'll be going to the next section. Alright, I'm just going to tap the H key, load my original one in. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the layer this time. Let me go ahead and find a brush here. We'll use this one as an example. I'm going to add a layer. I'm going to make a stroke here. I'm going to Z sub it for demonstration. Now if I move the slider to the negative, you'll see that these will actually, the one that's Z sub will be Z sad. So if I switch it to here, kind of vice versa. This can heap up the stroke and give it some thickness. It kind of does the same thing as replaying the strokes quite a bit, but I'm going to show you some advantage of this over these layers here. So you can see I'm on this layer here. Now I'm going to add another layer. And I'll just go ahead and just switch me to a different brush here. Let's replay that a couple times so you can see. There's 1, 2, 3. I can adjust the intensity of that layer. And actually, see, I didn't even need to do the 3 strokes because it heaps it up itself. Or bulks it up, wherever you want to call it. That way, each layer, I can select this layer and adjust intensity or whatever layer I want. If I didn't like that there, I could just go ahead and set this to 0 and just go ahead and delete that layer. Each time you make another session, just add another layer. Keeps everything pretty much organized. And we'll be going to the next step. We're going to go over some of the cooler stuff. I just initialized ZBrush one more time. Going to be using the rotate. We'll start with a new layer here. And I can replay last, or I can use the intensity slider, which will give it the same effect. Now with this here, the replay last, I can actually switch the alphas in here. I can add a new layer. Now both these, now this has its own layer now, so I'll be able to adjust it. I'll add a new layer, and let's go with this brush here. And we'll go ahead and replay that one time. We'll go ahead and rotate the alpha over here. And that'll have its own little layer, which you can do. That's pretty cool. Press the H key. Start back over here. And give a little one more demonstration. We're going to go ahead and bulk that up quite a bit. I'm going to record this here. I can adjust the size. And we'll bulk it up a little bit. adjust it down a little bit more. Z sub it this time. And that's pretty basic. We'll get you up and running. I had paused the video for a few seconds here, actually for quite a while. But anyway, I'm going to show you this little character that I downloaded for a reference mesh here that you can get over at vidrap.se or vidrap, however you want to pronounce it. And you can download this model, which is a ZTL tool that you can load into ZBrush. So let's load this up in ZBrush, see what we got. Okay, here is the character I was working with. Call him Stitch Man. And this is basically what I came up with using the precision strokes here. But anyway, after a while I did add some new options down here in the bottom. The new save load, it saves, and when it loads it adds a new layer, so you don't have to add a layer each time that you save it. It automatically adds a new layer, a new one each time it's loaded. The first one you will have to press new when it first starts, but anyway, after that it'll automatically do it itself. And after a while, if you start using this button quite often, it'll slow your machine down because it takes a lot of process to go through this button function here. And I also added the delete active 3D layer, so you can automatically delete the layer from here if you want to, or how many you want. And if you want to get a little practice in, what I would do is just go ahead and use this tool with a couple of strokes. Start with a new layer and get the hang of it, then delete it, then get a new layer, get the hang of it, delete it, or just keep on doing new layers, whatever you want to do, instead of doing the save for a while, save load, because like I said, it'll put a little bit of bind on your machine. But anyway, this is a basic tutorial, and thank you very much.